Good evening, guys. My name is Pierre. I'm the founder and CEO of SalomonFirearms Training. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the latest mass shootings and mass shootings in general. A lot of people have been asking me questions, a lot of people have comments and things like that. And for the most part, I've been silent about the mass shootings. I never made a video about them before. But today, I definitely want to start the new year by being more vocal about these things. So a little bit about me, just quick background about myself. I've been in the military over 9 years, combat veteran. I went to school for criminal justice and sociology. I run my business full time where we do firearm training and we do pepper spray courses, we do self-defense classes, and basically everything that's to relate with the self-defense within an individual and their family. So I have a little bit of a unique perspective because I'm on the training end, and also I've experienced violence on all scales, whether it's a small assault and battery, and all the way up to war. So I wanted to hopefully shed some new light and perspectives. I know it's a very political and touchy subject, and I wanted to get a fresh and honest opinion. First thing I wanted to say is I want to send off my condolences to the families who lost their children. I can't imagine the pain that it is to have a child go to school and then not return. I have nieces and nephews, I have younger siblings, and I one day hope to have children of my own. And it would really pain me as a parent to send my child off to school and not have them come back. So I can understand the sentiments of people wanting, gun control reform and want guns off the street and want to ban ARs. I will say that is a natural reaction, and I'm not going to fault anyone for that or make them feel bad. What I do want to do is I hope that I can give a full picture perspective on the scope of the Second Amendment and why should people have guns and things like that. Because whenever one of these things happen, my inbox blows up, and whether people are for guns or against guns, they have an opinion and they share it with me. So I wanted to make an official statement. I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else or anything like that. I'm speaking for my company. I'm the owner of SFT, and I'm not trying to represent anyone else. So, so with mass shootings, it's a little bit complicated, right? So I think the things that people focus on is how do people commit these crimes, right? They focus on the how, and they talk about gun violence. And I think gun violence is a very limited scope, and I can understand why people feel that way, right? Somebody gets shot and killed, and you automatically think, hey, we need to take guns off of the hands of people. So I would like to ask people who feel very strongly about this to try to think about it in a wider scope. So the gun is how the person commits the crime, and we should be asking is why does someone commit the crime? So a lot of times we focus on what kind of guns should be allowed, background checks, and things like that, and they're necessary conversations, but we need to stop and ask ourselves, do we have a gun problem or do we have a people problem in America? So when these things happen, right, I ask myself, why do people wake up one day and they decide that they want to kill themselves? And not only do they want to kill themselves, but they want to take out everybody else with them. This mass shooting is actually one of the very few ones where we actually catch the perpetrator. Usually, they shoot up a lot of people and then they kill themselves. So we kind of lose that opportunity to get justice. So very few times do we get to take someone to court and send them off to jail, or kill them through the legal system and stuff if we believe in capital punishment and stuff like that. So for me, I ask myself, why do we live in a country where our citizens want to harm people? So when people say, how do we solve this problem? I think honestly the problem is a lack of compassion. We live in a country where every time we talk about investing in education, we talk about investing in healthcare and investing in the people, we have this strong lashback as to, oh, we should have spent money for this. I don't want to pay money for somebody else going to the hospital and things like that. And I really think that America has a lack of compassion. I think America is a dog eat dog world. world, and then everyone is supposed to survive and fend for themselves. And because of this, you have a lot of people that fall through the gaps. And I think Americans in general, we lack this we lack this ability to love other people, and the only time that we love other people is when a tragedy happens and we come together. The tragedy brings us close, or it's someone within ourselves and within our community. So there's so many things that divide us. People divide us on race, they divide us on religion, they divide us on gender identity and age and all these different things. And you see online all the time, people are so cruel, they're so evil. You go on YouTube comments, you play video games online, and there is so much garbage and trash and hate and anger in this country and in the world that that we don't stop to think about that. So for me, I honestly don't think that guns are the issue. I think it's a lack of resources, the lack of investing in our own people, right? So how does somebody, is born as a child and have this human potential to be anything in the world, and how do they grow up and end up to be a mass shooter? How does someone decide that, hey, I'm gonna go and take this gun and go kill a bunch of people? Like how do you reconcile that internally? And yeah, we can easily go, oh, he's crazy, he was on meds, he was this and that and yada yada. We can say all these things, but in reality there is something wrong with our society. I don't think it's solely, a mental health issue. I think it's a social issue. It's an emotional issue. I think it's a male issue. Why is it that there are only men, committing these acts of violence? When was the last time you heard of a female mass shooter? Name me the last 5 female mass shooters. You're going to be digging really hard to come up with some names. So I think the issue is it's male. It has to do with masculinity and all the challenges and requirements you have to live to as a male, to live to this golden standard that that society places on you. And there's a lot of things involved in that. So the answer is not so simple as to getting rid of guns. So getting rid of guns may reduce gun violence, right? So a lot of times people will cite other countries and say, hey, I got rid of guns here and gun shootings went down and murders went down. Yeah, you're right. Gun violence did go down, but violence in other manners increased significantly. When you look at Australia and all these other things, and you look at the data, you see that stabbings increased by 400%. So when you're getting rid of gun violence, the violence is reformatting itself into other means. So does that mean that we shouldn't try to do something? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we should be trying to stop the source of violence and not gun violence. So when you say gun violence, you're limiting the scope and the conversation to firearms and the Second Amendment. When you're talking violence in general, then it's a much broader topic. You can talk about what causes people to commit crimes, and it's not even about committing crimes. It's about reaching a state of mind where you've given up on life. These people have given up on life. It's not like they're not aware of the consequences. They know that once they do the shooting, they're not going to get away. Nobody has done a mass shooting and gotten away. They know they're going to get caught. They know they're going to get shot or killed, or they choose to take their lives themselves to avoid that type of punishment. So it's not an issue about firearms. It's about an issue of the society that we live in. And we have people that are waking up every day giving up on life. And as Americans, are we feeding and are we supporting this type of culture? So we have a culture where people are desensitized to violence, right? So people watch movies, and movies make killing and things are easy. Kids play video games, they play Call of Duty, and so killing and the idea of guns is is not a new thought, right? But I don't think that a lot of people, well, in this case, he's 19. I think he did understand, but I think to some extent that people don't realize, once you pull that trigger, your life changes forever. You can't take that back. Once you go and you do all these shootings and things like that, there are real consequences. You're hurting people's families and things like that. So I think there's a lack of understanding in the young children that are growing up that, there's a difference between reality and there's a difference between fiction. So when you're playing games and you're watching movies and you're doing all these things, that's fiction. The consequences, you just respawn and then you keep playing. But in real life, you don't do that. And I don't think we have enough conversation between the differences between fiction and reality, and that goes across other forms of violence as well. So there's different types of violence where people shoot a bunch of random people, or they shoot people in their neighborhood. So this violence comes up in different forms, and we really need to sit down as a society and talk about why is there a lack of compassion for that. So for me, I think that's the reason why there's all this violence, is because there's not enough care, there's not enough love in the world. One thing I did want to point, the whole issue about guns and why we need them. It's a reality. I have students, as an instructor, I have students who come up to me and say, "Hey, Pierre, somebody tried to rape me last week, and or they did get raped." And then they're like, "That was very traumatizing for me, and I never want that to happen again." So when I have those type of students that come up to me, what am I supposed to tell them? Oh, just call 911 next time, and that way, they'll get sooner. A lot of times the 911 calls are fucking, they're long, it's like 10, 20 minutes. And anybody who's done any type of martial arts training, any type of self-defense training, that 5, 10 minutes is a long time. If you're rolling on the mats, if you're boxing in the ring and you're doing 5, 10 minute drills, you know how thoroughly exhausting that is. So telling people to give up their guns and to call 911 is not an option. It leaves you as a victim. So for those people that say, let's get rid of guns and let's turn them in, or people shouldn't have guns, what is your answer to all the people that are robbed, that are raped, that are broken into their homes and traumatized, that are stalked by their exes who won't leave them alone? What is your solution to keeping them safe? So when people say, oh, citizens, regular people shouldn't have guns, then what's the solution for my safety? So it's like, are you going to protect my family? Because 911 is not effective. That's why there are millions of people in this country that are victimized every year, because law enforcement is not enough. They are a reactionary force. That means they only come when the crime is in progress or it's already happened. Very rarely is law enforcement, proactive in like investigations and things like that. Usually you're talking about, bigger fish, higher levels of crime, right? So for your everyday mugger, law enforcement can't do anything about that unless it's like a serial mugger or something like that. So when you got these regular day-to-day crimes that are happening to people and you want me to tell them to go ahead and be a victim, nah, fuck that. I'm supposed to give up my guns because somebody went and committed a crime. I'm supposed to be punished because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm not going to accept that. So until anti-gunners go and provide a solution to guarantee everyone's safety 100%, then, like, there is a need for the ability to protect yourself. And the firearm is the easiest way to do that, because it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, how fat, how skinny, how strong. It doesn't matter about your gender. It's an equal opportunity to protect yourself. You get the same results. Doesn't matter who you are. So you tell somebody, oh, go take a boxing class. If you have some freaking 70-year-old woman going to take a boxing class versus a 20-year-old young male, the difference in that result is going to be huge. So a firearm allows someone to protect themselves and their loved one. It allows you to protect yourself from multiple threats. You got 3, 4 people breaking inside your home, right? And oh yeah, I took boxing classes. Okay, so now you're gonna fight 3 dudes and also protect your family? Like, nah, it's not gonna work. So there is a need for firearms. There are people that are victimized. Yes, these things are horrible. Yes, they're bad, and there is something that needs to be done. But getting rid of guns is not going to solve the problem. Guns are not the source of violence. Human beings are the source of violence. And we need to ask ourselves, what are the social conditions? What are the political, what are the economic positions that people are placed in? And how do people end up into this point and phase in their life where they just don't care anymore? So that's the harder question. The harder question is, why are only males committing this crime? Why are people, you know, going out and shooting people? Like, what's mentally going there? But Americans don't want to invest. They don't want to invest in freaking anything that has to do with the people. You tell Americans, hey, let's give free education, let's give free healthcare. People go bananas. So you don't want to invest in the people, and then now we turn around and we ask, why are our people fucked up? Why are our people damaged mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? But yet we never want to invest in them. Right? We always want to go and minimize people, and everyone should survive on their own. Well, that doesn't work. That system is not working, and we need to do something different. So for me, I think these mass shootings, these spurs of violence is a consequence of our inability to love each other. And we need to educate, we need to train people, we need to give people opportunities to create revenues and create life for them. So I am all for, giving free community college or giving free tech programs or something to give people the opportunity to create a lifestyle for them, to create revenue, to go out there and get a job. But you tell Americans this, and they get upset. But you tell Americans, hey, we're spending $500 billion to build the next generation of bombs, or we're spending millions of dollars and billions of dollars a day on war, and nobody has a problem about that. But we tell Americans we're going to spend half of that on the people, and then we go bananas. So that's something we really need to step back and ask yourself. Are you trying to solve gun violence, or are you trying to stop violence? Because guns are not the source of violence. Prison, for example, if you go to a prison, it's supposed to be a place virtually with no weapons. You drop a toothbrush on the floor, you give an inmate a couple of hours. Well, guess what you have? You have a shank, right? So human beings are unfortunately very creative when it came to violence, and long before firearms, human beings were violent. They had bows and arrows, they had swords, they had clubs, they had rocks. They burned people. People went on one end of the continent and wiped out the other on religious crusades, and they killed people for conquest and kings and queens. So when somebody established a new kingdom somewhere and they discovered a new land, what the fuck did that mean? That means they wiped out the entire population, and then they built their own thing. So human beings have been violent, since their inception. So guns is not the source of the violence. We need to attack the real issues. And then if you're only focusing on gun violence, then you're part of the problem, because you're not talking about the whole picture. The gun is only the how, and it is just a tool, and the tool based on anybody's position it's gonna vary. So if you have a good person, you have a bad person, then it's gonna dictate what they do with that. So I really want people to stop and think about what is the problem they're trying to solve. So for me, I think is investing in the people, having access to proper education and training so people can understand their responsibilities, and learning the value of human life. These are all the things that we need to invest into our students, into our young people in today's world. And our school system is not doing that. Our school system is having children, remember random freaking x squared and all these freaking equations and things like that, but they're not teaching children how to freaking balance a checkbook. They're not teaching children how to buy a home. They're not teaching children how to do all the things that's gonna give them a shot at life and to be a decent to have a decent life, to be a decent human being. So when we don't invest in our own people, how can we turn around and be shocked that our people are broken? These are broken human beings, and there's more of them appearing every single day, and then you can't stop that. You can't stop someone from waking up and saying, hey, today I want to kill people. No law is going to solve that problem, and that's essentially what's happening. They wake up and they say, you know what? I've given up on life, and today I'm going to start planning. I'm going to do it today, and I'm going to hurt as many people as I can. There's no amount of laws that's going to stop that. And it's going to take more than laws to stop someone from deciding that, hey, I'm going to go and kill people. You can't ban murder, rape, robbery. They're all things that are already illegal. But if somebody is deciding to kill someone, why would they care about gun laws? Why? Why would they care about what type of firearms are legal in the state, or what caliber you can have, or this and that. When they've decided that I'm going to murder someone, you can't stop that. And there are so many different examples of, when people don't have access to firearms, that they do other things. People running over people on a bridge, on a truck, like in the London incident, or in New York, people hitting people with cars. Or you have the brothers who, blew up the marathon. So, like, there are so many different ways. And then if you're looking across the globe, so we're just talking about America. When you look across the globe, there are so many more effective ways. Like, people use IEDs all the time. So IEDs, the Boston Marathon bombing was a rare occurrence in America, but when you look everywhere else in the world, that's a common everyday thing. It happens once a week, once a month, once a year. So Americans are just starting to get a taste of what a lot of people in this world are already experiencing, and then it's violence, it's it's people that are not happy, and we have a responsibility as a society to take care of each other, to take care of our families, our friends, our neighbors. And I honestly believe that is lacking in America. So when you're sitting here and you're turning on the news and you're seeing people, shooting themselves and stuff like that, and we're talking about guns as if that's why if the person didn't have a gun, then they wouldn't kill people. Come on. I think we both know that's not the root of the problem. So the easy solution is to talk about guns and try to ban it, but we still have all these broken people in this world who do not value life. So what are we going to do about that? So for all you people, every time someone disagrees with you politically, and then you go and then you fucking shit on them online and you say all these horrible things, you think about that. Think about your reaction and the lack of compassion that we have, and then think about if you're a part of the problem. So for me, if we limit the scope to only guns and the two-way, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we're never going to stop the problem of having broken people. So that's my thoughts on it. Video's already 22 minutes long. I didn't know I was talking that long. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, and if you can leave a comment to agree or disagree. I'm not doing this for likes or anything. I just thought this is an honest opinion that doesn't have to do with firearms and politics, and this is the reality of life. So you can leave your comments below and tell me if you agree or disagree, and I will be doing a separate video later on as to more specific solutions. So right now is just a general theme and overview of my thoughts, and later on I want to do I want to make a video of more concrete and obtainable goals on how to stop these mass shootings. So once again, it's Pierre from Solomon Firearms, and I hope this video shed some new light for you. Thank you.